Hello and welcome. I'm Lanre Lasisi. I'll be taking you through all that happened this week in the National Assembly. This is the Gavel. Now, lawmakers resumed this week from their recess and immediately got down to work. From security issues, gender issues, to constitutional review, the lawmakers touched on these and other matters. Now, the first part we're going to bring to you will focus on security. Lawmakers in the House of Representatives brought up the matter of the $1 billion loan request by President Goodluck Jonathan. How did it go? How was it concluded? That's our next report.
Lawmakers resumed plenary from their 2 weeks recess. One of the first matters they tackled was the $1 billion loan request by the President. The Deputy Majority Leader of the House raised a point of order over the inability of the committee to submit its report on the matter.
It is becoming very, very unbearable because this is not the first time that we are asking for this report. We are also aware that the Senate has actually passed this report even before they left. May I therefore ask for your immediate intervention so that we consider this report tomorrow. Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, I so move.
The chairman of the Committee on Finance, who is chairing the joint committee considering the loan, said consultations were ongoing on the matter.
We'll also discover that, and this is a fact, that some of the security agencies don't even know what is theirs in it, and they did not pretend about it. They told us in clear terms that we do not know what is ours here. So now you have the police, you have the state security, the SSS, you have the army, the air force, the navy, etc. So when you say military hardware worth $1 billion, who gets what? What portion of that goes to the SSS? What portion goes to the police and the rest? So when you talk to the police, they tell you their requirements. When you talk to the SSS, they tell you what they require. When you talk to the Army, Navy, and Air Force, they tell you what they require. So who does the distribution? They don't even know how these things is being distributed. So now this consultation needs to be concluded.
He sought an extension of 2 weeks to enable the committee complete its work. This was the Speaker's ruling on his request.
I'm bringing your report latest by Tuesday next week. Latest.
Speaking afterwards, the chairman of the Committee on Finance dismissed insinuations that opposition lawmakers were trying to frustrate the loan request.
We're pretty sure that it's not going to exit next Tuesday. So, you continue to have speculations like this, but I think that the House always rise above such party lines when it comes to national issues like this. Everybody takes the security issues very, very seriously, and we all agree that the security agencies need a lot of funding, need a lot of equipment to be able to combat the insurgents. And I do not think that anybody will be an obstacle to that. But again, that does not mean that we should not ask questions. Of course, we do understand that it is an issue of military equipment, hardwares that will be exchanged. So there is no liquidity involved. But again, in the repayment process, liquidity is involved. So the government is not going to pay back the loan with military hardwares. We are going to pay a monetary value. So we need to know how the repayment is being structured, over what period of time, where is the money going to come from. And we're also concerned because, of course, we have a dwindling oil price going down, revenue base really going down. So it's a thing of a concern. And in the next few weeks now, we'll start dealing with the budget. So the budget is a very tight one. So now when you look at, we don't even know how much will be scheduled to be paid. My informal discussion with the finance people, what they said is that it's going to be paid over a period of 7 years through budgetary allocation. So we need to know how this is being structured. Just for the purpose of information, let's be guided and know what to actually expect. Then also, secondly, it's a lump. So it's going to come like a lump equipment. Now, all these security agencies have their peculiar requirements. So the requirement of the State Security Service is not the same with the inspector, with the police. That of the police is not the same with the Army or the Navy or the Air Force. So isn't it important for lawmakers to be able to know what portion of these equipment or what percentage of this equipment will be going to the state security service, or we're going to the police, or we're going to the army. All these things are very important. And some of the security agencies we've also spoken with, they've also expressed concern in terms of that. So we don't want a situation where you will take the lump of it and give it to an agency that does not, that will not need such equipment, like the case of the order. Since we also relate with them, we know their requirements, and we'll also be able to advise when we are required to.
Meanwhile, an attempt to get the House to rescind its decision to give the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) a role in the deployment of troops during elections have failed. The consideration, however, took party colorations when the question was put for a voice vote, as members of the opposition All Progressive Congress voted overwhelmingly against the request.
Retaining clause 2191B in the amendment of the Principal Act is tantamount to ceding the presidential powers relating to the operational use of the armed forces to the Independent National Commission, INEC, against the provision of Section 218 of the Constitution.
Those against, please say nay. The nays have it.
This means that with the proposed amendment to the 2010 Electoral Act, the Electoral Commission will be responsible for requesting for the deployment of relevant security personnel for elections and also assign them in the manner determined by the Commission in consultation with the relevant security agencies. Meanwhile, the National Assembly has the 2015-2017 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper from the executive in the House of Representatives. The document has been referred to the Joint Committee of Finance, Appropriation and Aid, Loans and Debt. In the Senate, a Joint Committee on Finance and Appropriation has been mandated to work on the document and report back within 2 weeks. The Senate President said early conclusion of work on the document will enable the Senate ensure early passage of the proposed 2015 budget.
Now, if there's one bill the lawmakers of the 7th Assembly have been working on, it's the review of the 1999 Constitution. Well, it appears the lawmakers will soon complete work on that review. For some of the latest developments on that, here's our next report. It was a key issue on the other paper for the day, a motion for the adoption of the report of the amendment of the 1999 Constitution. The Speaker started with an explanation.
Quite a number of our colleagues are not having their cards. And we anticipated some of these challenges. Therefore, the leadership in consultation with the clerk and his team have improvised another means of voting.
Some lawmakers, however, had some concerns, which the Speaker also tried to address.
For example, provisions that were passed here by the House, quite a number of them were not passed by the Senate. And therefore, you need the 2/3 of the Senate on those provisions. So the implication is that if we get the 2/3 of both chambers for this report to be passed, those clauses have now been covered.
But as more concerns were expressed, the House resolved to meet behind closed doors. These concerns were addressed and the session thrown open again. The motion was moved by the chairman of the ad hoc committee and voting commenced immediately. The Speaker then announced the results.
261 members present, 252 voted ayes, 8 voted nay, 1 abstained.
This result means the House has fulfilled the 2/3 vote required to amend the Constitution. We spoke with some lawmakers afterwards to understand some of the concerns expressed by members earlier and why the House had to vote on the report.
Rule 98 of the rules of Order 13, Rule 98, is very explicit on the procedure of amending the Constitution. After the harmonized version at the conference of the committee of both houses, that's Senate and House of Reps, the only thing that the House can do is to adopt. So it means it can be voice vote. However, there are certain concerns that have been raised. So members are not comfortable with the fact that certain issues that were adopted by the Senate were not known to them. But if you go back to Rule 89, which is the conference committee, it says a certain number of people, will be selected and will sit with certain selected members of the Senate to thrash out places of differences. And once they agree on certain issues, then the only thing that is left for the House is just to adopt.